This is the M20. It's an electric scooter by the company Windgoo, and it comes in at around £360 here in the UK. Now, if you've been on the roads for the last year or so, you'll have seen these electric scooters popping up absolutely everywhere. And particularly recently, with the massive rise in prices for particularly petrol and diesel, more and more people are turning to e-vehicles just like this one to get them from point A to point B easily. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and review the M20, and I'm going to let you know if this is the scooter to get right now if you're looking to purchase an e-vehicle here in the UK. Before we get into this review though, it probably is worth noting the laws around electric vehicles, particularly that of electric scooters here in the UK. If you don't want to hear this disclaimer, you can skip to the review, timestamps will be just down there. But basically right now, electric scooters are illegal here in the UK. Only if you're riding on private land can you really use these things. Of course, those laws are due to change very soon, within the next year or so. But until that point, do not be surprised if you are stopped and you have your scooter taken away from you by the police. They are well within their rights to do so, unfortunately. So for the purposes of this review, all of the riding that I did was on private land, and I wasn't breaking any laws while doing so. But anyway, let's get right into this video and get into my full review of the Windgoo M20. Let's go.
The Windgoo ships from the UK and got to me in under 3 days, which is pretty impressive. When it comes to unboxing this setup, it was an absolute breeze. It was pretty much all ready to go out of the box. Just lifting it out of its foam and cardboard prison, you can see the scooter is almost ready to ride. Just screw in the 4 screws for the handlebars, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, plug in your battery for charging, and you're done. While it is charging though, let's do a quick tour of the scooter. The most striking thing about it to me was certainly its size. This is a big scooter, and that helps in a number of ways. I'm able to stand comfortably on its 50cm deck. On the back, we of course have that 350 watt motor, which is more powerful than many of the market leaders out there, so on paper, it can tackle more inclines with ease. More on that later though. We can see the dual suspension here too, helping to soak up some of those potholes, as well as a push brake if required. On that push brake, we do have a brake light, which is a super nice touch. Looking on the back of the deck here, we do see a little clip, and that's for easy collapsing and transport. On the underside is where all of the guts are, including the battery and some of the housings as well. We have a charging port here too, though the rubber grommet was a little fiddly to get in and out, so just be warned it may pop off over time, particularly when riding. On the front we see that second 10-inch wheel, which are air-filled, meaning that they're slightly more comfortable and easier to replace, but they are much more prone to punctures, as I found out during this review. The stem is sturdy and has a nice locking mechanism, which is really quick to easily do and undo. However, I did feel like, with every style of folding scooter, the stem did have a certain amount of give to it. At the top is where most of the action is though. We have a nice bright front-facing light with 2 brakes, a little bell, the accelerator and the main computer unit as well, showing essential information like speed, battery life, distance, overall assist level, and more. Overall, I like the scooter's design. It's different enough that it stands out from the overcrowded M365 clone market, and its wider deck and wheels give it a much more comfortable ride, particularly for newcomers. When it comes to collapsing it down and carrying it, you will notice just how heavy this scooter really is. It comes in at around 20 kilograms, so it's definitely not something you want to be carrying around a lot. On this note, the weighting of this scooter is very front heavy, so you will need to grab the stem more towards the back if you're wanting to carry it. The whole thing will lead forward unnecessarily if you do. If you're looking for something small and portable to take on a train or up many flights of stairs, then this may not be the right scooter for you. There are smaller and lighter options available, and Windgoo even have a few themselves. All of the links for those will be in the description down below. Powering on the device, you get an audible beep and the screen kicks into action, where there are a few lights, which I am a little bit disappointed to see that aren't actually fully implemented. For example, you can see a Bluetooth icon, however I can't see a way of actually connecting this to any application for enhanced riding features, which is definitely a shame. Overall though, the screen is well laid out. In the centre you have your speedometer. On the left you can see your power assist level going from 1 to 3, and at the bottom you can see your battery life. That's all really great information to see, but unfortunately when actually riding, it is almost impossible to see the screen, because it's angled slightly forwards and simply not bright enough. This is more than a little annoying when trying to work out battery life and speed while riding, and I just wish that screen was ever so slightly brighter. When it comes to controlling the scooter, it's actually super simple. It's just 3 buttons. The centre one powers on and off the scooter, while the left and right will either go up or down in your assist levels. To actually kick that motor in though, you will need to give a few pushes to be going above 5 km per hour, and then push down on the throttle and you're away. It really is that simple and intuitive, and I think this might actually be the reason many people choose scooters as e-vehicles. They're just so simple to learn and get going with. The large deck and wheels on the M20 also make it even easier to balance, so I genuinely believe this is a perfect starter scooter for many. Let's talk riding though, as that's the main thing you're actually going to be doing with this scooter. I took it out across a range of different terrains to see how it would cope, and I was pleasantly surprised by the results. On a flat paved road, it really didn't take long for the scooter to get up to its top speed of 14.5 miles an hour, and a few seconds later it will let out a little audible chime to let you know you're now in cruise control. You can lift your thumb off of the throttle and keep going at a constant speed. I love this feature, and I'm so glad Windgoo put it in, because having to hold down my thumb for a whole ride would be slightly uncomfortable. It glides so smoothly over the roads because of that suspension and because of those air-filled tyres. It actually didn't feel bumpy at all and was overall very comfortable. I can see this being a perfect scooter for road commuting styles. But when heading off-road, it was a pretty similar story as well actually. The suspension helped somewhat with absorbing bumps. I do just wish that it had front suspension too. The wheels are big and grippy enough that even on fairly loose rocky terrain, the scooter kept me going fast and stable. I'm not so sure the frame would survive a full off-road track, but I do believe that for woodland trails this is probably enough and will certainly hold its own.
Before we continue with this review though, I just want to say that if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then 1, lucky you, and 2, go down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon so you get notified every time I upload. The device is in fact IPX54 waterproof. Basically all of these rubber gaskets mean that no water is going to get into the system and break it. Windgoo say that you could actually ride this in the rain or shine. So that's really nice to know. Many of the scooters I've used in the past didn't have any kind of water resistance rating, and it ended badly for both me and the scooter. So I'm really glad to see that you can still ride this thing in the rain and maybe ride through some puddles. If it is torrential rain however, I'd maybe leave the scooter at home rather being safe than sorry.
One feature I really wasn't expecting to see was ABS and regenerative braking. Basically what that means is when you're braking or you're not using the motor, it's actually going to use some of that energy to recharge the battery, giving you a little bit more range for your money. Speaking of range, Windgoo say that this can go around 15.5 miles on a single charge, which sounds pretty good. I found I was getting closer to 10 miles, but that's probably more because of the hilly environment that I'm in. Now onto the downsides of the scooter. When riding this around 2 miles, I took on a slight incline and around 15 degrees, and at the time the scooter appeared to handle its own, pushing me well up the hill at a nice moderate pace. However, when I got to the top it was a different story. The motor had simply overheated, leading to almost no power going through it, meaning I ended up basically pushing this thing half a mile back home. It was definitely disappointing. I was definitely disappointed in this. But giving it a few hours, it did recover and was back to its previous performance. However, in my opinion, it's not something that should have happened. Windgoo need to ensure adequate cooling, especially on that back motor, to ensure that it's not going to overheat on hills, particularly when it wasn't an enormous incline really. If you're going to be taking on a lot of hills on your journey, I simply can't recommend this scooter. However, if you're more of a casual rider and taking on more flat terrain or maybe even a little bit of off-roading, I genuinely believe this may be the best product or entry-level scooter for you right now. Its beefy looks and specs make it a perfect beginner scooter, and there's easily enough speed and power to make this enjoyable and also an easy ride.
Anyway guys, what did you think of the M20? Do you think this is a good scooter? Do you think this is the perfect scooter for a beginner just because of its nice wide base? Let me know in the comment section down below, and of course, while you're down there as well, get subscribed, get liking, share this video, and maybe even buy a scooter if you really want one. Anyway guys, my name's been Robert, this has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios!